Hey everybody, what's going on? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Much appreciated. If you guys get to subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Also, Tobin and Leroy is now streaming on YouTube every single weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you guys could go over to the WQAM channel, I'll put the link in the description. I don't know why I have to make a sound effect for that. Maybe it's because I just don't feel like doing one in post-production. So I'm just like, but if you guys could go check that out, that would mean a lot to me. Appreciate it. So in Heatland, aside from that just dreary game against the Hornets, the Heat practice today, which is an oddity. Usually with one day in between, the Heat having a practice, I guess maybe because they finished their game at 4 and they thought everybody got enough sleep, but the Heat actually getting in some work to, fix whatever the hell went on defense in that one. But wanted to get to this. So Barry Jackson, who covers all sports down here for the Miami Herald, is one of the best guys out there, boots on the ground reporting. He did an interview with Kyle Lowry after last week's Heat practice and was discussing with him a lot of things really about his role with the team, and specifically the most interesting part of it was the trade rumors because Barry did a great job of breaking down Kyle's usage, how it's gone down. Everything's gone down for Kyle. Usage, shot percentage, everything in it. What they thought he was going to be with this team. And the fascinating thing that's going on right now with Kyle is that, it's kind of a hit or miss of playing him in the fourth quarter. And Eric's did play him in the Charlotte game and actually did some, things to get Bam open and get him some buckets and, was engaged in that standpoint, but it does feel like a lot. Like Kyle is cool just kind of dishing the ball off and almost is either, hands off to Fern or what. And it's an interesting thing because he was actually talking about this with Barry where he said that Spo's trying to get me the ball a little bit more with the first unit and we have to work through that stuff. Bam is having an all-star year. Tyler's and Jimmy are having an all-star year. And for me, it's how do I affect the game without having the ball? Spo wants me to have the ball a little bit more, but there's always a time and a place for everything. And, we kind of saw that at the end of that Pelicans game recently, right, where he took over, scored the 9 straight points. And it feels like it's kind of like, yes, remember the Pelicans game and the Wizards game. Those were the moments this year for Kyle Lowry, which, it's just an interesting thing because, he is the point guard. He's kind of supposed to be the table setter for everybody and get everybody going. But you understand it. Those are your top 3 dogs. Those are your guys who are going to provide the scoring punch and provide, the teams that are, that they're the players that teams are going to most game plan for. I would say out of all of that though, Kyle's now been here for, basically a year and a half, which was the point of Barry's article. We were, I guess, exactly halfway through his contract when this was released. And it's interesting that it always feels like Kyle does have the most effect when one of those guys is out, that he doesn't really seem to have the same impact. It's usually when Jimmy and Bam were hurt, Kyle was the biggest, cog and keeping that going. Was Jimmy was dealing with some serious injuries. Tyler's dealing with serious injuries, and they were really, really banged up. Kyle was coming through and playing a ton of minutes for him. So I say this as somebody who admires a lot of Kyle's leadership and intangibles that he brings to the table and things I didn't really get with Kyle Lowry before he came to the Heat for sure. Feel like he's handled everything with class. It's not easy going from a franchise icon to, a team that was a rivalry team. I don't know if the fans really loved Kyle Lowry coming here, but certainly were accepting of the fact that, hey, he was going to make life easier on Bam Adebayo. And he was close with Jimmy Butler. Like, those are the big, it makes Jimmy happy, should make life easier for Bam. And still love Jimmy Butler. I don't know if that, life easier for Bam has necessarily been the case. And I feel like if we watch games this year, the best duo chemistry that he's got, Bam is with Tyler. And I would say in a lot of ways Vic, which is kind of the strange thing. It's like you're still adjusting the things. But it feels like with Kyle, he makes such an impact on guys who don't play as many minutes and aren't as regular in the lineup, and he can make a bigger impact than he can with the guys that he has more time with. So that's something that is a little bit weird, and I don't really know where it all comes from. And also, look, he does look like he's lost physically a little bit of a burst to the basket. The shooting hasn't quite been there. Hell, the shooting hasn't been there for anybody for the Heat. But the most fascinating part of this was surrounding the trade rumors. And Kyle, I think a little bit to my surprise, has been in a lot of trade rumors, especially from the teams that are interested in Kyle. Now, is that the Heat drumming up a market? I don't know. You know, they always say the Heat are one of the tightest ships out there. They don't really leak. They don't put a lot of stuff out there. That's what they say. But everybody is trying to make things happen. He does have a fat contract next year of $30 million. And here's what this is what he had to say on the trade rumors, which I found to be the most interesting part of it, is where he said, "I've been in trade rumors before. I have a very nice contract that can be moved, and the organization believes in me. I'm glad to be here. I want to stay. I enjoy this place. I picked this place. I feel like we have a chance to compete for a title. With Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, and Spo as coach, we always have an opportunity." So just making it, you know, putting it out there, like with all the rumors, all the fodder, not saying I want to be necessarily in a bigger role, not necessarily saying, not necessarily complaining. He did say something like, I would love to average 25, but if we don't win, it doesn't help us overall. It doesn't matter. I'd rather get 2 points and help these guys win the game. And the Heat have been playing better. I think that's one thing that's been lost amongst all this is that, one of the things that I felt was weird about the Hornets loss is that I felt all the fans reacted to it as if that put them 5 games under instead of 5 games over. The Heat have pushed their record to a better spot. They are in a better spot in the Eastern Conference. They do look like they are getting some things together, but there is this feel like, is this, if Kyle Lowry is on the team, is that the best fit for them? Can they utilize it better? We certainly know about the shooting. We certainly know about the size. And you look at this guy who is, a smaller point guard. His shooting hasn't quite been there. Where does he fit into all this? If he is already in the spot where the team isn't closing games with him, he doesn't still feel like he's quite got the right vibe, the chemistry of the team, where it's like, you're the point guard. Like, isn't that supposed to be where you are always at? You're always supposed to have the pulse of the team, where guys are at, how guys are feeling, how to get the chemistry blended with everybody. So that is a bit odd. But yeah, you have rumors out there that says like teams are still checking it out. Clippers seem like the most obvious fit, but there was a report Timberwolves still interested in them. Clippers interested in them. There's these true point guards out there for these star-studded teams. Mike Conley's in a lot of rumors. Even CP3 rumors are starting to pop up now. So that typical QB, that old school point guard, is still drumming up interest from certain teams. But interestingly enough, I don't know how much the team that has him right now is looking at him and saying, well, that's the perfect fit for us. That's the guy that we gotta go with. But he's letting it be known, like, if all things are equal for him, he'd like to be here. He'd like this to be the place where he is. It's just gonna be fascinating to see if that's gonna be the case by trade deadline time.